There are a lot of things to worry about when it comes to the Earth's climate, and it only makes sense to ask the big questions, like why aren't we just powering the entire Earth with solar panels? One of the reasons is probably cost, and oil companies putting up a fight. But what we'll realize below is that space is an even bigger issue. Simply put, we'd need to take up enormous amounts of space to power the entire world by solar. It would take 51.4 billion 350-watt solar panels to power the world. Put another way, this is the equivalent of a solar power plant that covers 115,625 square miles. In 2017, the year with updated data, the world consumed roughly 23,696 terawatt-hours of electricity, according to the IEA. This equates to 64.92 terawatt-hours daily. Assuming an average of 3.5 hours of peak sunlight hours, this differs greatly based on where the solar panels would be, but we're using a conservative average. That means we'll need 18.54 terawatts of solar power. If we used 350-watt solar panels, we'd need 51.428 billion solar panels. A 1 megawatt solar farm in North Carolina runs on 5,040 solar panels, 195 watt and 200 watt, and takes up 4.8 acres. It produces 1.7 million kilowatt hours per year. The farm gets 5 to 6 hours of sunlight per day on average, compared to 3.5 to 4 hours for a fixed array, which makes it more efficient than our example above. Even so, if we replicated this particular farm to produce enough electricity to power the world, we would then require 92.7 billion solar panels, 54.1 million acres, or 84,531 square miles. These numbers are so enormous that it can be hard to visualize just how big of a space you'd need for a solar panel farm of this size to power the entire world. For comparison, the entire US is about 3,531,905 square miles. So hypothetically, we could power the world's current electricity consumption by covering just 3.27% of the US with solar power plants. That's about the size of New Mexico at 121,365 square miles, or Arizona at 113,642 square miles, which is bigger than all but 5 states. Using the same calculations above but replacing the world consumption at 23,696 terawatt-hours with US consumption of 4,479 terawatt-hours, we learned that the US would acquire 3.5 terawatts of solar power, assuming 3.5 hours of sun on average. That means that we'd need 10 billion 350-watt solar panels to electrify America. That's 19.5% of the entire world's electricity consumption. America's population is about 4.25% of the entire world. In terms of surface area, using the roughly 4 acres for 1 megawatt of solar farm, it would take 21,913 square miles of solar to power America. That's a little smaller than West Virginia, but still bigger than 9 other states. There is currently about 500 gigawatts of solar power up and running. That's 2.76% of the total amount that we need to power the entire Earth. We've got a little bit of a way to go. However, Stanford researchers have recently released a report showing how 143 countries could transition 100% to renewables. Do you think the people in New Mexico would mind if we covered their entire state in solar panels? If not, then surely it's possible. But even then, you'd need incredible battery storage capacity and you'd need to produce a heck of a lot more power because much would be lost in transmission to other parts of the world. Although less fun, it's more useful to consider whether each country or region could put together a massive solar plant. The answer to that question is maybe, but even then, smart people like the Stanford researchers mentioned above seem to be more excited about the possibilities of wind power. In the report, they suggest roughly 48% wind energy and roughly 45% solar energy. So even in a 100% renewable energy grid, you're not likely to need as much solar as we've talked about here. As solar gets cheaper and more efficient, there's no reason to think we couldn't rely much more heavily on solar, especially since battery capacity and energy storage solutions are increasing rapidly. And with that, we've come to an end. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for future updates.